welcome everyone to day 2 of the Overwatch League 8-Pack Zone 2022 season. I'm here with Trade, as always, welcoming you guys to our final series of the day. And after that last series, Trade, it's going to be hard to beat that one.
Yeah, I did not expect Shanghai Dragons versus the Spark to go the distance, but as we saw yesterday, Vicky, Spark are playing really well right now. Shanghai Dragons still got a few things to figure out, and I love the commentary that was going on from Avril and Achilles towards the end there about where does the power balance in APAC lie, and it's something we're going to have to keep finding out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, we talked a little bit about the compositions and even the names of some of these compositions that we may be exposed to in the APAC region just yesterday. And it's exciting to talk about the Seoul Dynasty versus the LA Valiants, because I do think we are going to see exactly that dirty bubble composition. I know you hate that, Trid, but you know what? We got it coined by UberX. They were talking about it on the stream a little bit earlier on in North America. And now looking at our starting lineup here for the LA Valiant, you got Dia, Becky, Sashin, Lengsa, and Coldest starting things up here for the Valiant. We also notice here that this is another one of our teams that has only one tank, very similar to the Dynasty.
Yeah, and I feel like that might force a couple of things with this team. We know we saw Sashin playing a lot of the Zyra yesterday. I feel like Smurf might be forced to doing the same today. But just in general in the LA Valiant, this is a team where expectations probably weren't the highest coming into this season, and you can argue were Charge underperforming, were Valiant performing up. They didn't look like a bad team yesterday, so I'm expecting to see some good things today. Seoul Dynasty, I'll be honest with you, Vicky, I don't think they're going to lose this series, but I want to see how much of a dent the LA Valiant make in this roster.
Oh, for my pick'em's sake, I would hope so there too, because I definitely agree with you here, Trip. Not trying to be selfish, but looking at the way that the Dynasty has a starting lineup, very similar to what we actually saw yesterday. Prophet, Fitz, Smurf, Creative, and Vindame. We talked a little bit about Smurf. Actually, we talked a lot about Smurf for all the right reasons here. I mean, Smurf is extraordinaire. If anybody could kind of swap over to the Zarya, even when he shined on that Winston, it's gonna be Smurf. So looking at the way that they were able to roll out with Fitz on Reaper, Prophet on Genji even, I'm excited to see how Dynasty is gonna make this comeback after losing to the Spark 3-1 yesterday. But we just witnessed Spark go to last second with the Shanghai Dragons. Yeah, the Dragons didn't have a great start yesterday for day 1 of APAC, but the Spark are looking so strong, which makes me feel reassured to see that Dynasty, it's no surprise that they had some trouble too.
Well, let's jump into our first map, Vicky. It's Colosseo. Push, the new game type coming in for Overwatch 2. It was your first time experiencing this, as it may be for a lot of you. We're expecting an incredible back and forth on this map type. It's very swingy, it does get out of hand, and it is very much momentum driven. I think if we look towards the later stages of the map, before it's over, you could probably tell who's going to win just based on where the robot has managed to push the objective to. So do not get surprised if the panic bells start to set in for the losing team halfway or so through this map.
Yeah, usually at the start of push, we witness how volatile it gets. It's very brawly. You want to be able to try to take control over those corners that Colosseo really provide for some of that extra cover, which also allows the compositions like the Zarya to shine here. But not too sure if we're getting baited. I'm just going to wait. We got baited a little bit just yesterday. And but looking at the way that the first series...
I'd prefer to get baited, Vicky.
You get excited, genuinely.
Okay, sorry. Okay, no, I got baited again. Because Fitz was hovering the Zarya. That was not exactly a high note for Seoul Dynasty yesterday. But now they're onto the Soldier. Very powerful pick in Overwatch 2. So I'm very happy to see that. But mirror compositions, LA Valiant versus Seoul Dynasty coming out right now. It's going to be about how the players perform on each of these heroes. You've got them lined up behind the bot. We're on board with Fitz. Dia's taking a bit of a detour. He's got that high ground advantage. The flank from behind. Sprays down Creative, gets the bubbles, and there's the collapse coming in from the LA Valley. But Fitz has been able to turn it around, finding Coldest and Becky. Make that a free K for Fitz, charging in the front line. Does not care for Dia's flanks. Oh, don't worry, I'll take over, Vicky, while you're getting back in, but we got Smurf just holding the line here. Bubble on top of Becky for the time being. Fitz trying to do what Dia just did a second ago. Doesn't have the high ground, but has a good angle onto Sashin. Sprays a bit of damage, hits the Helix Rockets, goes for the 1v1 against Dia. Bot has stall being contested. Nice sleep coming out from Coldest. As the objective is going to be reclaimed, and Fitz gets deleted by Dia and co. As they will hopefully try and wrestle back complete control of the objective. Sarshin takes out the Lucio. Dia, oh no, it's not looking good for Seoul Dynasty right now. They held on to that for a long time, but finally the robot goes back in the opposite direction. And they're going to keep pressing forward. As you can see, Fitz can just stand there for a bit, just taking shots at range on the soldier, while the rest of the team gets back. There's not really anything substantial that he can do right now. Holding on. Nano boost available for Coldest and Sarshin as well with the Graviton Surge. This should be a fight win for the LA Valiant. Going to take a bit of an effort from Seoul Dynasty to be able to fight this back. There's that grab coming out from Sarshin. Keep an eye on where Coldest is going to throw over the Nano Boost. I don't think they're going to have to do anything here, but an aggressive beat from Vindane to keep the team up. Profit with the counter engage, gets slept out of the Death Blossom, but not before taking down Dia. The LA Valiant get the objective back once more. Seoul Dynasty throwing in a good couple of ults there, but not able to get anything for it.
Hey there, Trid. We got everything working. I had to take a little trip like I was Mr. X, had disappeared like the Thanos snap, but I'm glad I'm back to see that Fitz and company are all on the high ground. You got the Visor online, and Smurf is about to get this grab here. Becky has the potential to try to now go for a nice little flank after taking care of Profit, and he's got the Death Blossom at the ready here too.
Yeah, eyeing the opportunity to get that one online. Fitz has the tactical visor, but LA Valiant are just inside the building. They don't have to worry too much about the sight lines. They can keep themselves safe. The second they try to emerge, they run into the Graviton Surge of Smurf. The bubble keeps Becky alive long enough to have an impact. He will go for the 1v1. Profit using the Wraith Form to escape, and he's running into the enemy team. Got a nano boost being given over to Sarshin. I think the fight was already won at that point. A bit unnecessary, but purely, I think for cosmetic reasons, they'll get away with that.
It's about being the nail in the coffin. Sending a message here. That's what Sasha did, combined with Coldest. The nano boost, though, already wasted there. As they are playing off from the bottom part of the car wash, but still you're going to have the rest of this team here looking at the Seoul Dynasty drop in from the high ground once again. But it's about taking these angles because you have to worry about Dia, who's on the opposite side trying to go in for an LA Valiant sandwich.
Yeah, I don't know how I rate the sandwich on that menu, Vicky. I don't think it's very commonly ordered. And I can see why. Lots of complaints about it, but probably will hold the front line for now. Goes around to the side. Sarshin has found two. He's been playing phenomenally on the Zarya this weekend. We'll be pressing forward to the objective. I mean, Dynasty, they've done a really good job here to hold it in position like this for so long. But with Sarshin's grab, the second they land, they're just walking into a death zone. Coldest through in the anti-nades. There was no hope of Profit being able to go ahead and get any healing to survive. V comes out for Vindane to keep the fight going. Coldest will be dropping down. Fitz has the tactical visor available. I don't know if you can use it with everything being so shut down in this location.
But he still actually pulls the trigger on it. He knows that they're actually retreating. I like the decision here from Valiant to back away, but now that means that the visor has been used up and didn't get much value. I mean, any value at all here. You do have the grab. You do manage to cover some space, at least if you do want to try to prioritize that. But now the Valiant, they're swapping back and forth with the bot. They're hiding behind these corners. Becky's just trying to put in some pressure here so that way he could build up into that Death Blossom. But the Nano Boost is online for creative, and you see Smurf trying to wait out on the opportunity to follow up with Profit.
There's the go button. Profit's in the middle, ramping up to try and get the Death Blossom online. It's a big condensed fight. It could have been big. Becky beats him to the punch, finding creative and Fitz. Profit still got the ultimate online, chasing down everyone, but LA Valiant have got control of the robot once more. They're able to escape, but not fast enough as Profit just guns them down. This is big for the LA Valiant though, Vicky. The robot hasn't traveled far despite these multiple fight wins.
It's crazy to see how far Profit was able to still stay alive right there too and still manage to contest the bot here, forcing the Valiant to back off a little bit. But now as they're going to try to move back in with Lengsa, see him now trying to take a little off angle. They have to worry about the death loss that Prophet still has, because like you said, Becky beat him to the front here, and now he's going to pull the trigger on this, and they immediately shut him down. He wanted to fight Lexa, and Lexa had other plans here. He's literally dancing on the competition, pushing them in the direction of Becky. Lexa needs to be stopped. He is literally schmoving and breaking some ankles right now, and they managed to get control over the bot.
Hey, it wasn't just Lengza. Like, Lengza was obviously going to be under threat if he goes anywhere near some kind of Death Blossom like Prophet, but you just caught the end of their POV right there. Sarshin was just threw a bubble, threw him a pick-me-up right there at the end to make sure he had the confidence to go forward and just get in the face of Prophet and shut that down. I feel like Prophet may have pulled the trigger a little bit too early on that one. He was very much separated from the team. He used the Death Blossom probably by surprise, but there was a great reaction from the LA Valiant to shut it down.
Well, now that they were about the attack visor, he gets woken up though after the sleep attempt here from Creative. A nice sound barrier to keep the rest of Dynasty up and alive, and Fitz is going to answer back with a visor of himself, and Dia's the one that has to pay for it as he tries to run away, immediately reversing the situation as Dynasty flipping this back in their favor. Now you see Becky now just trying to go out with a fight, but it's going to go in favor of Dynasty as they're going to go back and forth with this tug-of-war with the bot.
But here's the problem though, Vicky, and here's one of the difficulties with Push as a game type. They've won the fight, they're in a great position, they've got a couple of ults available to use. They have to break through the LA Valiant and then go into overtime if they're going to look to try and win here. The robot is not even touched the objective. They've not technically gained anything from this robot being pushed back. They've nearly delayed what LA Valiant were looking to do.
And you're running out of time here too, Trey. You have less than 15 seconds before it gets pushed into overtime.
This has to be done in overtime.
Has to, and then they have to try to utilize this grab smartly here too. They do isolate Becky a bit, but Becky isn't going to be able to get taken care of. So the Wraith right out of there. Instead, Smurf is still trying to manage to nail him down. He finds Lengsa. They trade that though with Becky, and Sashin actually finding Creative and Prophet. That only leaves up to Vindame to keep the rest of Dynasty alive, and it's enough. You see Fitz, you see Smurf, you see them popping off. Smurf on that Zarya, learning from just yesterday, making those adjustments on the Seoul Dynasty.
Overtime push for them. They can't lose another fight. Becky's been pretty solid with the Death Blossoms this map so far. That's going to be the big tool for LA Valiant to get them away from the payload. They don't even have to do much here. Just keep Seoul away from the objective. Hunting for Prophet, who's already used that Wraith form. They now have the obstacle, but they're in a compressed space. The Death Blossom paints them against the walls as Becky finds two before going down. Dia finding the third. Overtime's going to tick away. I said that I thought the Seoul were going to win this map, Vicky. I said the match, but the LA Valiant come out with map number 1.
To be fair, Trid, you also had hopes the Valiant could do it. They could do a map, but you know what? They did it confidently there, and they put on quite a performance in that first map alone. I like the look from the LA Valiant, and Seoul Dynasty, we saw that they had some trouble on push just yesterday there too. I'm wondering here if they're still trying to iron out what compositions they feel more comfortable on, if they still want to keep Smurf on the Zarya, at least when it comes to push.
I think I would prefer to see Smurf on the Winston. Winston is definitely one of the stronger picks, but APAC has this weird preference for Zarya, and they're trying to make it work in the region. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, though, we'll see if Seoul Dynasty can tie up the series.
everyone, to the Overwatch League. We got the LA Valiant versus the Seoul Dynasty, and the Valiant stonks are quite up there now as we move on to map number 2.
Yeah, you should have bought the dip at the end of last season because you're really in the profit right now of how they've been playing over the past couple of days. Against Charge, they're now coming up against the Seoul Dynasty. Seoul had some difficulties yesterday, still trying to figure some things out. I would love to see a little bit more of the Smurf Winston. I feel like Seoul were playing their best yesterday when we had that as an option. And I'll keep saying what I said, that is not on Smurf as an individual. I think that's a whole team effort. Once Smurf can move over to the Winston, they can have a comp that enables that. But we are moving on to our next map, Vicky. It is an escort type. It is Circuit Royal or Royale. I'm debating how we say it. There's no E at the end. I mean, I don't know where you stand on this side of the debate.
I hear the announcer say Royale.
We have no answers.
I've got no answer. That's the craziest part. I asked the question, didn't get a straight answer, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with whatever the announcer's saying, and I'm gonna listen to her. She knows best. So
yes.
But it does upset me. There is no E at the end, but it's fine. It's fine. What matters is that this map is absolutely gorgeous. A new payload map, by the way, that has us riding in the fanciest race car in town. But what's something that we need to highlight about the structure of this map is how long-range DPS excel, especially by the first point, having a lot of that verticality available to a lot of our teams. Definitely keep your eyes on Fitz and Dio because this is going to be one knockout.
I mean, I asked for alternative picks to come out for now, and we can see on the map already, we got Dia and Becky. Dia being on the Widowmaker, Becky moving over to the Echo. Here's the Brigitte coming out, though, so expect Lingza to be playing very close to Sashin in these engagements up front. I wonder if Dynasty are going to roll out with this composition. Seems very different to what we have been seeing over the past day, but they are going for double sniper effectively and keeping Smurf on the Sigma.
This is interesting. We don't really get to see a lot of Sigma in general, so it's nice to see Smurf try this out, but I have to agree with what you said before. Dia, though, gets the first pick off of Prophet, but you see Vandame's right there to res him up. See Fitz now trying to take a little nice angle, but it's what you were saying before, Trid. We saw a lot of that strength from Dynasty come out once Smurf was on that Winston.
I think the thing is though, I think about the Sigma pick and I think about what's being played right now. You've got a highly mobile shield to shut down some of these angles, force the change of pace for someone like Dia, or Dia who's going to be sitting back in the rafters. Not having a lot of success right now. Smurf did finally take the Echo out of the sky, but he's lost the rest of his team, so not much progress to be made here so far from the Seoul Dynasty. But going back to the Sigma pick, I'm not totally against it. I can see the thought process behind it. But, if you want to contest space, you want to contest angles, why don't you just play the Winston at this point? Get on top of Dia and just make him have a bad time.
Especially on this map there, too, because they know that they want to prioritize that verticality that you see now. Fitz just trying to contest Dia over by the other side. I know Smurf does have that shield that they can control some of these corners here with, too. But having Becky on the Echo, maybe just not having, having a Fitz on the Widow playing on the backline, and then Prophet having to also play passively. He wouldn't really have anybody to dive in with him here. But the Nano Boost now onto Becky, trying to find an opportunity over by the flank side. A nice anti onto Smurf, but they're going to be able to back away in time. But Becky definitely won't with Fitz having that Discord Orb. Something else we got to highlight here with Creative being on the Zen.
Yeah, it is going to help him burst targets down a lot faster. I was getting concerned there about the dive, but Anthony did not land in the right place. Landed onto the tank. Creative finding two on the Zenyatta. Sashin and Coldest out of the way. Goes for the jump shot. Not to be found. Prophet tries the exact same move and gets dropped the second he appears up there. Oh, God.
What was beautiful was that he was preemptively looking in that direction just in case Fitz tried to contest him there too, and Dia was ready for Prophet just to poke his head out there. Luckily, Vindame is still right there.
Fitz is like, I can't see him, it's clear, don't worry about it. And then Prophet goes up and just gets dropped the second away, gets baited by his teammate. But they're just coming up around the first turnstile. Still have high ground to contest. Dia is going to get more Widow time on this map. Might have to move away against it eventually. Has the angle, does not have the accuracy right now. The name pops the Valk, Transcendence used, zero support ultimates available now for the Seoul Dynasty to get them up this hill. Bob has joined the fight, holding the angle, great position here, really going to clear some space and allow the payload to come around this first corner. They've got an isolated Dia, but they can't find the shot as Smurf takes Becky out of the sky. Fitz follows up for another. The Seoul Dynasty are in a great position right now.
This is beautiful. With Creative being on the Zen, the follows with these Discord orbs have just been something else. A nice anti onto Smurf again, but the way that the Dynasty are playing this, riding on so much momentum, Sasha needs to be careful. They want to take control over this quarter, but you don't have Coldest, you don't have Lengsa, and you're going to get deleted.
Right there.
And
that's
the duplicate
Sachin.
too? Are you serious,
Yeah.
Becky? Actually went in to try to commit to that there.
That's big Sachin right there for the Zarya player. Unable to confirm that kill. There was a lot of resources thrown over to try and keep Prophet and Fitz up in that fight. Sachin was the last bastion of hope towards the end there. Now they're going inside to the building. Becky's made the change up to jump into the Genji. Maybe apply a little bit more pressure to Creative, who might be isolated in these fights.
Smurf looked like he was getting ready to get everybody set to class here. The Gravitic Flux now as Prophet wraps around the corner with him. You can currently see Valiant just hugging that other side of the wall. Sashin finally making the moves to push in, though, with the bubble. Trying to find the opportunity with these dynamites. You have to worry a little bit. Lexa does manage to survive. Coldest keeping him alive. I have no idea. He booted away there, too. You saw Coldest right behind him to just help him get down, Mr. President.
I mean, I feel like that was not the team saying, Lensha, go do that. I feel like that was Lensha going, I'm doing this, and the rest of the team reacting to save him, trying to escort like the baby deer out of deep water before they just run back in again. Sashin's about to get that Graviton Surge online. Needs to worry more about surviving. Feel like that wasn't the most efficient use, but his team is going to make it work anyway. Anti-nade and the shots coming in from Dia. And there's the cut down from Becky to halt the Seoul Dynasty push.
This is the changeup that we needed to see here. Now, just being able to dive in, follow up off of that grab, even enough damage there to take care of Vindane. But look at the economy that we're going to be having from Dynasty. Yeah, you see the Valiant with Coldest having the nano boost. That's something to keep your eyes on as Becky wants to get that blade on soon. But Creative has a Transcendence here. And overall, the Dynasty are looking really strong to take control over the next corner.
Yeah, Emphasite's going to help them with that. It's available. Fitz pops it. He gets all the intel now. Looking for those picks. They know they're going to be emerging through the window. Gets the tag, but it's not a headshot. Here's onto Sashin, though. Thankfully, Coldest is there to heal them up. There's a bout for Vindane. Fitz finds Coldest. Nano boost given over before they went down. Becky is going to have to race towards that Dragon Blade, Vicky.
Oh, he needs it, but he can't really capitalize it. Yeah, he manages to survive off of that nano boost, but the bomb manages to claim Becky. So Shin meets him back in the spawn here, too. Creative may have gone down with the Transcendence, but that's great, because look how close this payload is right there. Still have 2 minutes to spare, and the rest of the Valiants are trying to find a way to control here with Prophet, who had already used up that bomb. But look at Fitz, he's still going. He finds Becky out of the spawn room gates.
The LA Valiant are about a bit of a leaky valve right now, Vicky. They're just dripping everywhere when it comes to kills. No coordinated push. Panic towards the end there to get out onto the payload. And Creative has the luxury to be able to put on a light show at the end with that Transcendence, because it just was not needed in those final encounters. Seoul Dynasty complete, 1 minute 56 on the clock. LA Valiant to match.
I love how you talk about the Transcendence at the very end. That was just basically the, yeah, we got this. What are you going to do? You're already gone here. Valiant were dropping like flies. And Fitz was popping off. I love what I'm seeing here. Both Prophet and Fitz actually just really helping out each other. I love the fact that we saw Prophet try to pop up. Vindame as well, Creative. I like this composition that we have overall on this map. Really highlights the fact that you see a lot of these hit scan characters come out. Between the Widow, you see the Ashe coming out too. But then the countermeasures that already Seoul Dynasty have taken after doing their own research. Smurf being on the Sigma.
See, they're going to just roll out on this one again. Got a quick replay coming out here. This is a beautiful angle from Fitz. Bang, Becky. One more. Why not? Just pumping shots in. Oh! Lengsa. Lengsa has been playing a very dangerous game today, Vicky.
He is really, he's eating his breakfast. He's excited. I'm excited to see what he does, but maybe pushing a little too far out like that. I mean, he wanted to contest. He was riding on those pillars, but if Fitz claiming heads like this, it's going to be dangerous, especially if you find that Discord orb on you.
Okay, Sashin moving over to the Orisa before changing their mind, but Prophet will be out on this Pharah, getting the pocket from Vindame. So we're still seeing the Creative Zenyatta and Smurf on this Sigma as well, now on the defense instead. Lengsa actually going over to the BAP. So they are making adaptations to what's happening here, Vicky.
Yeah, with Legs going over to the map, I feel like they're gonna try to contest Fitz and at least have the Immortality Field as some extra insurance. But Dia now trying to take a different off angle, and Becky being on the Echo is gonna be able to contest Prophet. But the difference here is, Trid, you have the Dynasty and Vindame is still on the Mercy. That's going to be the difference here, as Vindame's going to be attached to Prophet at the hip, and Becky doesn't really have that type of insurance other than Coldness that could really heal him from afar, maybe trying to go back towards the Immortality Field if he's really in danger. At least they do have Shushin there for the bubbles too.
Yeah, and look how Prophet's playing around the terrain, not showing himself. Okay. So I feel like that's kind of my fault. Well, Creative's found Becky to answer that back. That should not be happening. Oh no, Vindame! Vindame went for the res playing around the death floor and just went below and ended up dying. Sarshin then cleans up the rest of the team because there were no healers available. This is a disaster for the Seoul Dynasty.
If we go down together, taking that up to a different level here.
No, we don't have that attitude here. No, we don't do that
it's
here,
the
Seoul
chaos.
Dynasty.
You don't want it, but Vindane, you've committed to it, and now we see a swap up too. You see Prophet right back on the Ashe, but the game plan's going to remain the same with Vindame, going to be Pocket and Prophet, but it's going to be even better to go in for those follows from Creative too. See them controlling that high ground, which is a little bit different compared to what we had seen on Valiant's defense, where they weren't really able to hold back the Dynasty here, which I think this is the most important part when it comes to Circuit Royale.
Dia holding up the angle. See if anyone will step forward to challenge Sarshin. Jumping over the railing to go on the hunt. We'll have to regroup with the rest of his teams. Fitz now looking for the shot against Dia. These duels between Fitz and Dia have been so incremental. I feel Dia's been having the edge so far, just in how the series has been going.
Fitz is trying to take a bit of an angle. I love the passive play though from Valiant, but they're still trying to wrap this corner safely. Becky now trying to dive in with the dash here. He leaves Prophet so low, he doesn't get saved in time. Dia actually with the finishing blow, but you still got Vindane, and you got the Gravitic Flux from Smurf finding Sashin here. That means you don't really have those bubbles for that safety. Dia may want to back up a little bit with Becky going down here too, as well as Coldness with the Transcendence.
Fitz, come on now, behave. But I feel for Becky there at the end, nearly got the kill confirmed. Prophet in a much more advantageous position, because where Prophet was able to escape to was so safe for Vindame to commit to the res, whereas if Becky's Shuriken didn't just graze the paint on that pillar and actually make the connection to get the kill, they probably could have camped the corpse and taken out Vindame and Prophet and had a numbers advantage in that fight. But missing that Shuriken, Prophet escapes, becomes a much safer prospect for Vindame to get him back on the board.
Do have the Transcendence still here. Vindame with the Valk as well. The Bob is coming online shortly here, Trid, but they have to look like at Sashin, who has that grab, and Becky slowly approaching to that blade. They're trying to take this corner safely because they know what's waiting for them on the other side, and it's going to be Fitz trying to find an opportunity here. But Dia hasn't really been able to get an angle. They're going to push in with the grab here, but the Transcendence that we highlighted from Creative is going to be able to save them all together. So Shin now sees the opportunity, and Coldest wants to match out to keep up the sustainability of the Valiant, but Becky can now try to dive in with the blade.
I mean, this is one of the benefits of bringing the Zenyatta to the fight, right? You just pop the Transcendence when the Graviton's out. It's the Uno stop card. You don't get your turn. Becky pulling out a damage dealer of his own as he goes for the slash. Finds Vindame back to the payload to turn his attention to the Bob, but we'll have to play around the terrain. The deflect will not last long enough to get Bob down. LA Valiants, 3 minutes 30 on the time bank as they move into the final section of this map.
Actually nice there for Becky to buy in some of that space with the blade there. Continue on the pressure, despite the Bob contesting on the payload there. Now they're going to be able to wrap that next corner. And controlling the high ground is going to be key, but you won't be able to with Fitz being on the other side, claiming Becky's head. Now without Becky, Dia's going to be that next threat there. Oh, and he gets Dia on top of that too! Are you kidding me? Oh no, Fitz! You have the Gravitic Flux too from Smurf, and that's going to be some more space covered here the moment that the Valiant want to continuously approach. They're about to get that rally on board tier 2.
Good thing that Zarya now has 2 bubbles that can be used on themselves, so I feel like if they didn't have that option available, that was going to be another head being dropped. Fitz doesn't
get another one
here. Nails him when he gets down. Sarshin under pressure. Couldn't get healed fast enough because Vindame and Prophet were on the ground waiting to embrace them. Fitz putting in the legwork with a couple of headshots and body shots to get that done.
What's beautiful here in this situation is that with the Brigidas that we have on board, in this third point for this map here, Trid, it's a lot more close quarters. You're going to be having that more of that brawl style really pop up. And so it would favor Valiant here, looking at Becky wanting to get that blade on board, looking at Coldest who wants to get that nano boost. But Lungsa and Vindame are two of those players that you have to keep your eyes on here as the anti lands on top of Profit. But you can't poke! You can't even peek! You can't, are you serious? The reflect from Profit. That's the second one that we get today, by the way, in APAC.
I mean, we talked about the Uno stop card. There's the Uno reverse card. Just headshots him instead as Sashin find that damage on the Prophet. Fitz staying alive throughout that. There's that rally coming out from Lengza we were told to keep an eye on. Creative doesn't care, though. Creative just goes for the headshot regardless.
What even looked flashier was how he had to send out the kick and then finish it with the 1-2 Scooby-Doo, and I love it here. Now he's going to back up a little bit. You're going to see the rest of the Valiant now wrap around that next corner, but you see the Dynasty plotting, and they're going to actually stretch around and maybe try to sandwich the Valiant here.
Well, they've got the high ground. It's very advantageous to be. LA Valiant don't like what they're seeing. They're backing off. They probably want to go and contest that space and drop down onto the payload. Not playing with a lot of time here, Vicky. They will get themselves down to sub 1 minute shortly. If they lose this fight, they're going to be in a really tough spot to close out the map.
That was scary. Becky did reflect that sniper shot, but the Gravitic Flux now, yeah, it's call out Coldest, but a nice bubble though onto Coldest. Lexa taking a lot of that damage there too. You got the nano boost ready. Becky's about to get the blade here. This is going to be necessary with less than a minute now. The grab though is going to be huge here for
This is big.
The Transcendence though from Creative, and then the rally and Fitz is still going off while Profit doesn't even have to utilize this blade here. He knows even with Fitz going down, now Becky gets taken out. Smurf being right there frontlining alongside Profit is more than enough.
Right, this is fine for the LA Valiant though, okay? And I'll explain why, Vicky. When they were having to deal with the Zarya grab, we already talked about how the Transcendence is a no, you don't get to play Overwatch button. Well, now the Transcendence does not exist, and LA Valiant have another fight winner in their pocket. They have the Nano Blade, and they do not have to worry about Transcendence nullifying that. So if they can hit up with a strong blade in this fight, they can still win this map.
On top of that, Trid, they also know that they utilize that rally. It's really up to Profit here, and Smurf to maybe try to get another Gravitic Flux in this fight, but it's going to be so difficult here.
Becky can't go down. There's the Nano Boost given over. Dragon Blade comes out. Oh, the Accretion will not find the connection. Cannot find a kill until he hits Smurf. Goes immediately up to find Fitz. That's 2 for Becky. As he now turns his attention to the support line, but Profit is answered back. Finding Coldest and Lengsa. Hiding away as he now turns the attention to Dia. Spawn advantage is there, and Seoul Dynasty will close out the map and tie out the series.
Are you kidding me? Profit with the immediate reverse there too, saying what I could do, I'm going to do it right back at you, especially in the back right there. Profit with the pop-off. Dynasty evening things out in our series 1-1 after we saw the Valiant take map number 1, Trid.
Profit just came out of nowhere at the end there. Like I said, takes the support line out. And then he goes and hunts down Dia afterwards. Profit playing phenomenally on that Genji. You love to see it. Lots of different picks coming out there, Vicky. I love what we were seeing where the teams were really experimenting and breaking away from the mold that started to set in the APAC region.
Yeah, I love it there too, because you take a look at what's happening in NA and what we've been seeing with the dirty bubble with Zarya and Reaper in APAC. You would think that the meta has been solidified, but I like the fact that Dynasty are coming out with a different approach. We have seen the Sigma very few times there, but I really liked to see how Smurf was able to utilize not only just Circuit Royale, providing a lot of those open spaces, knowing that you're bound to see the Widowmaker, you could see the Ashe, but then also utilizing the Gravitic Flux a lot of times to follow up and negate a lot of those ults that the Valiant wanted to use there. Map number 2 in the books, though. We still got map number 3 on the horizon. That's going to be on to King's Row, guys. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be our last series of the APAC region. Welcome back, everyone, to the Overwatch League 2022 APAC season now, and we got a tied series on our hands between the LA Valiant and the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty clapping back there on the payload map, on the escort map, sorry. Off the back of an amazing performance from Prophet, who was able to flex some muscles on the Genji. Still have a couple of question marks around the compositions that are being played, but hopefully we'll see something new as well, because I think Stalker is going to be being subbed in for Fitz in this next map, which is the first time I believe we've seen Stalker play this season, because we didn't get any game time with him yesterday.
Yeah, we're actually talking about that in the break, just highlighting what is it going to be having Stalker move in. Does that mean Fitz, usually we get to see him on the Reaper, so coming out of the gates here on Kings Row, we could expect Smurf obviously to go over to the Winston. Stalker, though, I got questions here. Are we going to see the Echo? Are we going to see Stalker move out with the Genji? We know that Stalker has a really strong Genji here too, but we've also seen Prophet go absolutely crazy in his own way with Genji and Tracer in the past, so I'm wondering here what we're going to see with Stalker coming out on the field.
Let's see how they manage the expectations being put on their shoulders. Obviously, high expectations for Seoul Dynasty coming into this season. You know, you check a couple of the power rankings. They're up there with the Shanghai Dragons, but Shanghai Dragons also not on sure footing as they were last season.
Shambolic.
As you mentioned, Kings. Yeah, I mean, they're built. It's on stilts right now. It could go anywhere, honestly. Yeah. Less ivory, you know, less of an ivory tower, more of a one made out of plastic straws, which we shouldn't be using anymore, but I feel like you could just topple it over at any point. Stalker Tracer, maybe?
We were talking about it. Maybe we could see that, actually. And this is going to be great. If this is, it does look like this is what they're going to roll out with here. Prophet on the Soldier, though. And I like this, because now you're going to have Prophet holding on to the high ground, splitting some of the attention away from the Valiant. But we've seen what Dia could do. And I'm wondering what it's going to happen out of the gates here for the Valiant.
Ana Lucio support line, all is right in the world. All is right. Nature is healing. We're back to what we should be doing. Creative on the Ana. You know, one of the things we saw yesterday in our matchup, Vicky, was how coordinated Smurf and Creative can be when it comes around to these dives. Those bio nades were absolutely on point, setting Smurf up for success, turning him into a raid boss on Dorado. I'm hoping to see more of the same. This is where the Seoul are playing their strongest, I feel. So to be able to do this on Kings Row, I'm expecting another win here for them. But of course, the LA Valiant putting up one hell of a fight as they've been tempered at the first gate.
Look at the respect here, too. Becky's still sticking onto the Reaper. Of course, with Sushin rocking the Zarya. That's that dirty bubble comp that we continuously see in APAC. Smurf is immediately going to back away, though, but Stalker is going to be able to move into position. Dia playing off the back, though, swapping from the Widow to the Soldier, is going to hold a nice off angle to try to match that of Prophet, who's on the other side. A big anti, though, onto Smurf here, as he's going to try to back away.
Yeah, more survivable, let you keep up with the level play faster. That's usually not how that works. Becky should be railing Smurf out of this fight, but unfortunately they've already lost their big gun in the front line. Won't give up that position though. They're going to play around Mundata a little bit longer as Smurf's able to hold there. Dia finds Prophet. Tell you who benefits more from that is LA Valiant. They have the faster or closer spawns. They can get onto this point, start gaining progress, and another dink there with the Helix rockets as Seoul start cowering while they're waiting for their reinforcements.
Smurf immediately restabilized, though. Another big anti coming in from Coldest, but Coldest about to get this nano boost as well as Creative was able to re-heal Smurf. But here comes the Valiant moving in on this point. The disengage from Dynasty before they try to dive back in with Stalker, who could just easily contest right there.
About to get that Pulse Bomb online. I wonder if they're going to have the incredible Pulse Stick rate we saw from yesterday. Dia with the Helix Rockets finds Vindame. Sarshin's charged and in charge. He will get slept just by Creative off on the side. It's 99.7%, Vicky. I want to point out we're 0.3% from seeing Valiant capture this one. If they don't actually convert this now, this will be incredibly sad. But when Stalker gets gunned down like that, Smurf's cut off from reinforcements, it's quite easy for them to finally lock it in. 4 minutes 30 on the timer, and then moving into the escort section.
Crazy is that Prophet and Smurf still stayed on that point for a while when Creative and Vindane have gone down rather early in that team fight, but this now allows Valiant to move all the way up, hold this next corner here, put in some pressure to prevent the Dynasty from actually contesting that payload in that next choke point that you usually see around the next corner.
They'll now be getting set up Stalker moving over to the Echo, just providing air support for Smurf. I imagine they're going to try and combo their dives together when they find a target. Becky sneaking around for the time being. Close to the Death Blossom. As Prophet's tactical visor can't step out the window, getting a lot of focus. This Stalker will go and hunt down Dia. Just keeping everyone off the streets right now, away from that rally. Becky goes in with the Death Blossom, hit with the anti-nade. Good shielding there to keep him alive, and Smurf is able to escape the onslaught. Trading back and forth with Stalker, who's making the real difference here, picking up the kills, his third of the fight. That's going to be them stopping the push from the LA Valiant.
He picked up 4 right there, too, while Becky had a plan over by the other side. Maybe try to go for a flanking opportunity with that Death Blossom. But Stalker and Prophet were on the high ground, just completely melting down the Valiant there. Fortunately, with those efforts, they had used up that Death Blossom. So you see Becky immediately changing over to the Echo.
Yeah, see how they do when they match what Stalker is trying to do. They get themselves on this corner right now. Look at where Prophet is, just on this sideline, shooting through the archway, trying to cut off any cohesive push that's happening. We'll regroup with the rest of the team shortly, I imagine. Right in the group there. Nanabu's given over to Stalker. Dia runs forward straight into the loving embrace of the sound barrier. The Graviton Surge comes out from Sarshin, trading 2 for 2, make that 3 for 2. As Dia is still able to sprint away and get behind cover. Stalker loses the duplication. He is able to take out Becky afterwards, and looked like Dia had a good foothold there to survive, but he can't deal in a 2v1 scenario. He'll have to be forced away, but he's back to the payload with those reinforcements. Last fight of this section, I imagine, assuming the LA Valiant are able to win it out.
What's crazy there is that even with Vindame's sound barrier, a huge anti coming in from Coldest, and that grab on top of it all was the nail in the coffin and deleted both Creative and Vindame. But the immediate retaliation as Dia had to back away, like you mentioned, playing already at that number disadvantage. But Prophet's taking onto the high ground. He's about to get his visor, and the Primal is online here for Smurf, while Stalker takes a good amount of damage, though, and Prophet can't run away. Tail tucked between his legs as Becky chases him down, and some more pressure as Vindame can't even help him out. Coldest gets traded out for Prophet here, and Smurf still going to be able to hold that front line with the Primal, not having to use it up as Stalker now finds Sashin.
Duplication available for Becky, but not much else on the LA Valiant right now. Taking another reset, 1 minute on the clock. Seoul Dynasty, despite having a sloppy point A, have regained control in the streets of King's Row. I mean, he's got the luxury of being able to use that. I think it was just the extra leaps to be able to get himself out into safety. Yeah. But I think Seoul Dynasty have a lot of options here to be able to use it. You're looking towards Attack Visor, Pulse Bomb, and Nano Boost in his final fight to close it out and shut down the LA Valiant in the streets of King's Row. They already used that early. Prophet has the position, using the Tactical Visor. Invulnerability frames from the duplication stopped another kill from coming in. Still find both the support. Sarshin has nothing left to play with. The fact that was so fast, Vicky, means that LA Valiant will get one more attempt.
30 seconds left, and it's like you said, Smurf was also able to delay and waste more time away from the Valiant earlier on. They had a good amount of ultimates, those resources just to cycle through with Prophet, making another fight happen coming through from the Valiant. They're desperately now trying to get onto that high ground, trying to find an opportunity to contest with less than 15 seconds here, but they have to look out for Stalker. He's got the Pulse Bomb, he's right above him, and he can easily just drop down and stick one of the backliners.
Yeah, but who's going to check Stalker while you need to be focusing on the payload? Lengsa will pay attention, let the team know where he's at, but I don't think he's going to win that duel. Coldest feeling the hurt. There's the recall. Pulse Bomb still available. Becky's so low. They want to try and keep them up in this next fight. There's that Tactical Visor being popped. Nano Boost given over to Dia as well. A lot of resources pumped into the Soldier 76. Paying them dividends as Sarshin will find the final blow. Smurf cannot get behind the railing. That's a big monkey and a big hitbox. And LA Valiant, I think they've done enough to be able to get into this final section, because Dia is just able to flick with the Helix rockets.
And Dia was also going in from the backline. Stalker knew too. You saw Stalker turn around, recognize where did Dia go here. Stalker did look like they heard him and making the immediate swap over to the Echo as Dio still moves all the way up, still putting in so much of this peppering at the same time, while you still have Sashin, who's about to get grabbed, and Becky get into position to sandwich the Dynasty.
Stalker's just playing a little bit of ground Echo. Get themselves up into the skybox once more. Both support ultimates available for the Seoul Dynasty. got the tools here to be able to burn this final minute. Nano boosted Stalker, followed up. He manages to get the sound barrier from Lengza. Smurf can just go in with Primal Rage in a second, use that aggressively. Doesn't have to worry about any ultimates apart from the Graviton Surge coming through here. That's going to be used early to try and lock down Vindame, who's just surviving through the benefit of his own beat. Smurf drops down, actually, before being able to pop his abilities and get into the play. Just on the cusp of victory here from the LA Valiant. They just need to fight off the spawns from Seoul Dynasty, and the Nano Boost given over to a very low energy Sashin is going to help top him up.
Took to the sleep of the grab. Vindane had no chance there, and now the Valiant are mopping around the Dynasty to clear the entire point with the Death Blossom, and with little to no time. He got 8 seconds there, but the Valiant managed to take that payload to the finish line.
Doing it with time was even more important there, Vicky. 8 seconds means they'll get another attempt if it goes down to the wire. Gives them a very strong position to play with. Obviously, you want more, maybe over 1 minute to remove the chance of a third round, or an attempt, should we say, from the opposing team. But finishing with time is what is important here. It means you will get another attempt if the Seoul Dynasty are able to complete this map.
Especially with the way that both the Valiant has been contesting the Dynasty. Dynasty are looking so strong, especially before that second point was captured by the Valiant. They were taking nice high-end angles, really contesting them in that choke point that could be so difficult and grueling to get through once you get that payload moving right through that archway. And I like the change-up that we've also been seeing from the Dynasty. I know we talked about it again when they had their run on Circuit Royale, but even bringing Stalker in, what an amazing pop-off player that we've seen so far earlier on the Echo.
Let's see him get ready and lined up here on the high ground. Still keeping with Becky's Echo. It was a reactionary change last round when they were trying to do the offense, but now they're going to roll out with it instead. I think keeping Dia on the Soldier, I think they've been phenomenal so far. But of course, it's very hard to get away with all your silliness if you don't have the team supporting you. And when the team's under pressure, especially around the front lines that the Soul have been able to put up, it does seem to crumble quite quickly for them. Stalker eyeing up some headshots, won't find him, switches over to the Echo to match. The Smurf is still staying out on this Doomfist.
Welcome to the Apex Zone where we test everything here, even with a Doomfist. It's not just NA here, and you can already see Smurf opening things up. Prophet maybe trying to get into position, but with Becky finding Stalker first, you can immediately Smurf backing up. He got hit with that anti there too. He's not going to take his chances, especially with the advantage in terms of numbers going in favor of the Valiant.
The only real thing Smurf did there was block Dia from being able to really be enabled in that fight. He just couldn't get through the door while he was just there blocking it and keeping Sashin distracted. But it didn't matter because Becky, as you said, was able to get some work done and pick up the pieces while everyone else was so focused on shutting down the Soldier. And that seems to be the name of the game right now. You've got both Becky and Dia trying to run down Prophet and get him out of the fight. And now they have to give up that high ground position they were aiming to keep hold of as Becky finds Vindame and Prophet, who are going for a little bit of a Glad's detour.
Becky is the threat that you need to look out for on the Dynasty. Claiming 3 heads already? Are you kidding me right now? As you can already see, Becky now forcing the rest of Dynasty to back off. Love how Sashin is also right there to help enable Becky to get into those positions. Even after that sleep, they still couldn't kill him.
Yeah, Becky's becoming a bit of a raid boss. Duplication should be online shortly at the pace they're going. Coldest has been giving the nano boost over a few times to Becky in that last round. Sleep just misses a fraction too late. Becky gets the nano boost, goes on the hunt, turns the attention over to Smurf, who has been antied. It's an easy pickup there for the Echo, using that focusing beat to take out the last legs of Smurf's life. Burns him more of the time. The Seoul Dynasty, 2 minutes left, half the time bank broken, and they've not really had a successful push yet.
The tragedy of Smurf trying to get up onto the high ground. Not only getting anti, but the immediate retaliation from Becky after those comms came in. Becky now has the duplicate online. Here comes a nano boost onto Stalker this time around. Also about to get their own duplicate. Going to follow up with Smurf onto the high ground, but a nice big anti from Coldest as everybody photos themselves inside of this hallway. Smurf backs up a little bit, still managed to live, but without Vindame, they don't have the sustainability. They really only have creative here, and the Valiant still clean up this point.
who was up there with them, really? You just had Smurf and Stalker up there trying to compact an entire team. You got given the nano boost. You tried to throw an anti-nade in. By the time you saw, by the time you had Stalker switch over and try and pick up Sash and Zarya with that duplication, didn't really make a substantial headway towards a Graviton Surge, which probably would have been needed to close down that fight. And now you switch over to Tracer right at the end. You still got the Doomfist Meteor Strike, you got Attack Visor online, but now you're playing against 1 minute left on the clock. It is not looking good for Seoul Dynasty. I think they took a risk with this composition, and it has not paid off for them.
And they've committed to it too. That's the surprising part here. And they do have that Meteor Strike like you mentioned. Prophet also has that Visor, but he's not in the best position right now as the grab comes out. Stalker gets taken out. Smurf finally finds the raid boss, Becky, who he's been absolutely terrorizing off the high ground, resetting on that bridge. Now Dia with the Visor, gonna be able to now move in. Big Anti though moved in from Creative too, but they found Vin Dame, only leaving Creative up for that sustainability. Prophet also goes down here, but Dia has been a terror to clear up this high ground. You can't let Becky have all the fun here as Becky made that swap over to the Sombra.
Yeah, Becky Sombra comes out just at the end here. That'll disrupt some of the mobility coming out from Smurf. But of course, 12 seconds left. Final attempt here for the Seoul Dynasty. Meteor Strike and Attack Visor online. Becky's going to delay even further by finding those hacks and just being an absolute menace. Smurf has to get onto the point to try and touch, trigger the overtime, use the Meteor Strike to reposition in this fight. But he just descended from the heavens there on his back. Becky then like assassinates the Doomfist. This is not looking good for Seoul. Prophet's down as well. That was from two of your big guns. Kratos got a hack. Should be sprayed down here quite easily by Becky. As Lengsa will flay as much as they can to secure the kills. And Seoul Dynasty didn't even get a third of the pie, Vicky. Match point for the LA Valiant.
I don't know about that Doomfist trade. I don't know, especially when you're a sitting duck in the sky. That had to be one of the flashiest sleeps. Coldest coming through in the middle of that Meteor Strike, shutting down Smurf right from the heavens. Becky really popping off. I know we were talking about Stalker's Echo before, but yeah, Becky really putting it down on that bridge there too for a while. Like you mentioned, every single time we saw Smurf try to at least move in, constantly getting shut down. But also, those antis from Coldest were fantastic on that map.
Yeah, absolutely, Vicky. And like we said, is now match point for the LA Valiant. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, expectations in the APAC region could be upturned once more as we head over to Lijiang Tower.
Welcome back, everybody, to the circus. The Valiant currently are at match point versus the Seoul Dynasty. Wings out truly here because APAC, I love the fact that I can't ever choose my pick'ems out here. I love how we highlighted right before going into the series stream what we were expecting. The Valiant had other plans for us, though.
Yeah, I hope that Tazon Day doesn't have a lot of work to do tomorrow because I feel like they're going to be celebrating after this win if they take down the Dynasty. And I think, particularly around King's Row, I was not so impressed by what I was seeing from the Seoul Dynasty, particularly on their offense. I think that was disastrous for them. They just checked at every corner by Becky on the Echo, and I don't know, Smurf just not having a good time on that Doomfist as well. I think there's a reason why we don't see that so much in the current meta.
Man, I gotta highlight, Valiant fans, you guys are truly loyal out here, and you have long awaited for this success, and I love it for you guys, because this is great to see. But the Dynasty, maybe swapping up their compositions, I could definitely agree with you there, Trid. I wasn't a big fan of what they had rolled out with on King's Row, especially on that attack. I like the attempts, I like the change-ups, but something's got to change out here as we move over to Lijiang Tower, especially with Valiant being on match point.
Well, we'll kick things off on Command Center. God, are we on the cusp of seeing an LA Valiant victory? We didn't get it yesterday. We were kind of close yesterday with the charge, but against the Seoul Dynasty, whoa, I don't know about this one, Chiefs.
What year
See what they roll out with, though. We have seen a little bit of Ryan. You heard Avril speaking its praises when it comes around to Command Center, doing quite well into the Zarya matchup. Smurf's been on a bit of a world tour with tanks, so it wouldn't surprise me we see him roll out on another one this series.
I like the change-ups here. I like it here. And Prophet being on the Mei, we've seen this before on Control as well. We create a lot of that space here, block off a lot of those approaches that we're going to be witnessing from Dia, trying to get into these flanking angles. As you can see, Prophet now trying to wrap around, trying to beat the Valiant to the point here first. Interested to see how Smurf is going to perform here on the Reinhardt. Here comes that wall, though. Going to be able to isolate Dia just a little bit before Becky says, wait, I'm going to back up here, too. I do not want to be isolated, as well as my other co-partner on Reaper.
Really elongated engagement right now. Prophet under pressure, having to use that ice block. Otherwise, he definitely would have gone down to Dia's Reaper right there. Sasha on high ground, 60 energy working towards it, but it's Becky and Dia clearing out the Seoul Dynasty. They'll win the first fight, and surely they'll begin the first cap of this round.
The coldest follow-up there onto Dia, too, to push right into those front lines. Beautiful. Smurf is the last one to exit from the Dynasty, and the control goes in favor to Valiant first. Looking very consistent here as you look at the rest of the series and the way that the Valiant have been performing. Gonna be able to back up here. Nothing to change other than Fitz now. Gonna be able to take a nice little off angle with the soldier.
Gonna get themselves in position once more. Now using Zarya instead to go up against Sashin. Immediately spots out Dia. Not much else to be done here as they're struggling to get a foothold. Sashin's coming in with all that residual energy. He's going to be able to out-damage Smurf before he can get online. Coldest hits the Bionade. Nano Boost, Sleep to answer back. Sashin taking a very glowy nap as Smurf will get on the board with a kill onto Dia. Almost catching up to Sashin's ult charge now with the performance he's putting in so far. If you take a look at how fast he's closing that gap. Big anti-nade. They can only cancel one of the anti-healing. Smurf will hold him at an angle. Seoul Dynasty will get the flip at 48%.
I do prefer this with Smurf's impact right now on the Zarya, especially with Prophet going onto that Reaper. Now you're going to be able to put in so much of that pressure, flip that point like you said right there. And they're now trying to get into that position, but they have to look at the blade that Becky has. Coldest already used that nano boost onto Sashin earlier that they countered with the sleep dart. But at least Lengsa does have the sustainability with the sound barriers. Becky's going to be able to move in.
Has that Dragon Blade out, hunting for a kill. Dia gets his eardrums blown out by Vindame. Finally see the Seoul Dynasty hold on to it. Team kill, 90 energy there as they bat away the LA Valiant. But now they have the difficulty of having to run up against a lot of different ultimate combinations that you're online for the Los Angeles team. You've got Dia, Sashin, and Lengsa all able to pop ultimates in this fight. The Graviton Surge could be a great combo here for Dia to jump in with the Death Blossom, and you know, you can only block out so much of that damage if you are Smurf.
Yeah, Lexa didn't use that sound barrier. It was Vindame to answer back to that blade instead, which is great here because now they can try to approach with this grab that Shin's going to put in. Now going to be the insurance, but not before Coldest gets taken out first by Fitz. At least Becky's going to be able to dash in and get that reset. Find Smurf now on top of it here. They're going to trade that creative. Can't even utilize a nano boost, but Fitz still pulls the trigger on the visor while Dia utilizes this natural cover off to the side while Fitz manages to run away.
Yeah, he has to play around the cover. He can't use that teleportation because if he does, he's just a sitting duck for the attack visor. He will reposition around as Fitz gets into final fight territory in the Seoul Dynasty. Don't have control of the point right now, but they haven't let it flip. They're going to contest back as Nano Booster trade them to both the... both the Reapers. Dia was setting up there for the Death Blossom, but he's not able to get it off. He's taking a nap. Team trading back and forth. Prophet is out of this fight. This is on the high ground. He has to wait for him to enter into his arena. Dia, however, is waiting for him to drop back as he gets the flip. If they step on the point, he's going to be able to absolutely dismantle them. Fitz has made a bit of a mistake. Will pop the legs and try to run away. Sashin goes for a reset off the side of the map. Dia holding it down.
Trying to desperately cling on to that pillar there while the rest of Dynasty now roll in. Dia manages to get away in time while the rest of the Valiant manage to come in, but Prophet with the Death Blossom there too blocks out any way for them to just back away.
They just had a Beyblade competition right there. They both spun up the Death Blossom and Prophet sent Dia flying out of the plasticky dome arena. Nothing to be done there for the LA Valiant. The sleep was... Dia could not escape that damage. There was no way he was going to be able to get away with that one. Seoul Dynasty take the first round of Lijiang. We are moving over to Gardens.
Where do you go? You're in the Blossom Zone here. Funneled into that hallway. I'm wondering if Smurf actually is going to try to contest this time around with the Ryan as we take a look at that replay. What happened? The double blade. He gets put to sleep. Make sure you can't do anything here. He tried to pull the trigger, but Prophet was quicker after that sleep. Beautiful from Creative.
Alright, emerging back onto the point. Here's Sashin's Doomfist. Maybe he'll show Smurf how it's done this time around. Goes back to safety. He's got access to these environmentals, I guess, now that you think about it.
There's a lot more room to work with here, too, as they're going to try to counter-rotate over by the white room instead. See Smurf just waiting to meet up with them. Point. He's about to get unlocked here. Lexa being on the Mercy here, though. Going to be nice as he's going to be able to be in Becky's pocket. Becky's going to be able to take this off angle here too, but you have to worry about Fitz. Fitz has been on point here, but with Smurf having that shield up, it's going to be harder to even get into a position to get enabled now. See Prophet being back on this May to control more of that space. It's going to be much more close quarters here too that they can work off of. Prophet trying to get away in time as Fitz is going to try to cover him too, as Justin actually manages to get away.
Good timing on the ice block there. I like what Prophet did using the ice wall to force the only escape for Sashin. Yeah, that is right, Prophet. That is precise. You're nailing the headshot onto Dia. Keeping the wall to keep them away. 30% and climbing. Seoul Dynasty do not want to lose this series. They don't want to drop, even come close to going to that third round. The Smurf will be holding the angle on this bridge. Look where Dia is, though. He's gone on the flank, been spotted out by the support line at the back. Vindame sending some Cheerios his way to keep him there.
It's even bigger here too, Trig. Remember what happened on Push when we saw from Valiant map number 1. Sashin now moves in with the Zoom. Doesn't have a meteor strike for a reset instead. He does have that power block though. Managed to get away, get right back to the backline to contest. Vindame gets hit with an anti, but he finds Smurf over by the other side. As Vindame puts him in that position, they trade that for Prophet here. And now Fitz is going to be able to try to contest Boldest, but it's going to be difficult when you have Lexa pocketing him.
Yeah, you're able to get so much value here from the Mercy pocket when you're trying to take the one-on-one duels, especially against single target damage like the Soldier. Sacrifices their sleep. Oh no, has he gone off the edge? Oh, there's like support combo from Seoul Dynasty. Creative hits him with the sleep. Vindame sends him flying off the map with a lullaby. And now you just don't have access to your Echo. Wonderful play by the Seoul Dynasty. Last fight of this round for you to be able to get close to getting the retake.
What I love here is the confidence that we're seeing from Vindame. Had a little bit of a rough start yesterday, but we can see this rookie player really shining through. Prophet with the wall. You can see the window as Becky tries to contest, but you get all the contention here. 3 ults online for the Valiant. to be careful as Becky gets hit with a big ante, but Vindane with the sound barrier is going to keep the rest of Dynasty up and alive. My eyes are on Prophet with that Blizzard as overtime is ticking away, and Becky is just trying to ride the walls with this duplicate.
So they're going to be able to jump onto the point here. Becky with the duplication comes out with the sound barrier. Meteor Strike on top into the fight, and the tactical visor from Dia is in the middle there, trying to shut it all down. And you're going to have the flip finally come in from the LA Valiant.
Wow. Even with that big ante, Vindane gets taken out. Now the immediate reverse though. Lexa finding the Battle Mercy. Headshots onto Creative, but Prophet immediately going to retaliate, saying you're not going to be able to get away with that. Overtime has been taking away for so long, and meanwhile, the Dynasty had to clean up a little bit around the Valiant, despite the contention coming in.
Yeah, we're going to have Becky taken out of the sky there by Prophet with the right click. They're going to die on the point. Smurf's taking a nap. You just see Lengza up there in the high ground trying to bounce around the rafters to keep it going, but the Seoul Dynasty will close out the round, take Lijiang Tower, and we're going to a 5th map to settle it all.
This is going to be great. We saw already before what happened on that 5th map. Now, the Dynasty have gotten that download after Colosseo. They saw what LA Valiant did. It was rather close there, but as we move on to New Queen Street, we could expect something different here from the Dynasty, Trin.
Well, it's do or die now to close out the series. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the conclusion of this series.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going on to the final game here in the APAC region, and what a series it's been so far. I know the Valiant fans are looking to make history right now, but the Dynasty may look like they're catching up right now, Trinidad.
Yeah, very, very polarizing reactions for both of these teams. Everyone very excited to see the Seoul Dynasty come back. This is going to be a great season for them. A little bit rocky to start things off. But if you're an LA Valiant fan, long have you waited for the prospect of them actually winning a match? I don't think we saw that at all last season. They've won more maps in this series alone than they did in the entirety of last season, Vicky. So the prospect of them winning this early on into the season is unreal, and I'm sure a lot of the fans are going to be screaming wings out, especially Taezon Day. I've been getting messages from people saying he's in the YouTube chat talking smack right now, actually, against everyone who doubted him. All the doubters are being put in their place by Taezon Day as we head over to New Queen Street to close out the series.
I've waited years for this. That's exactly what he's saying right now in the chat. He's waited. He's been a long time fan. You know, I also want to hear Custa's thoughts, actually, on what's going on with him.
Oh, Custa's thoughts.
Yeah, I wonder why. But we'll see what's going to go down on that avenue before North America happens. But first, we have to get through
the Watch Point
New
pre-show.
Queen Street. Yeah, it's going to happen soon. I mean, we've been going on for a while, especially after our second match of the day went the distance, and so is our last match here between the Valiant and Dynasty, which is nice, but it's a beautiful surprise looking at the change-up for both of these teams, with the Valiant still being very consistent and pressuring the Dynasty to make these swaps. New Queen Street, though, as we move on to push, this is the same exact game mode that the Valiant won for map number 1 on Colosseo.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh, please.
1.
We've got enough substitution coming in. Easyhan coming on the McCree. Could be a good option here, especially when you can constantly change between playing at range and those close quarters. Obviously, McCree's been changed. He no longer has the flashbang, has a magnetic grenade. Kind of an aim-assisted sticky bomb, if you would. Really helps with the burst combo, removes some of that CC away from the hero.
I like some of these change-ups, but to make this change-up for the last map sometimes can be a little risky here. Easyhan, the rookie players here on the Valiant, trying to drop down from the bridge. So much pressure as the rest of the Dynasty mop up the Valiant. They're going to be able to take control over the bot here first after they get that reset onto Sashin.
Yeah, not having the impact there. Easyhan going to change over away from Cassidy. On to the Reaper. Good start for the Seoul Dynasty. They win a couple more fights. They'll be in a very strong position to take this map, provided no wackiness comes into play. High ground being held by now for the LA Valiant, but where the robot is going to end up, it will have to drop down onto the low ground and go for the contest. Around the corner, Sashin forcing them away on high energy now. Will be able to contend with Smurf after a couple of cycles of those bubbles. Very low HP, cut off from the support. He will jump back into his team. Dia taking a nap up on the high ground. Smurf will finally take down the opposing Zarya. They just have to hide in this building. They've not really been able to make a dent on the Dynasty yet.
They can't even break through the building. They're not the Kool-Aid Man. They can't break through these walls, but Smurf with the grab to block out the doorway too. They were duking it out on that doorway for so long, and look at Smurf fully charged up basically, all that damage output, and then the follow-up off of that grab here too is just going to allow the rest of the Dynasty to build into their own respective ults. Looking at Vindame, that does have that sound barrier after Creative had used that nano boost.
I love how dominant this is from the Seoul Dynasty right at the end, Vicky. It looks like they did a little trolling in the first couple of maps to get us to this point, but now they're ready to send it home, it appears. Smurf, we had questions about the Zarya based on the performance yesterday, saying they look more confident on the Winston. They're doing fantastic so far on New Queen Street. We've got the barrier being used by Vindame as they charge into the LA Valiant. Fitz is just moving up the hill. They've given up control of the robot. Now actually in between the LA Valiant and their spawners, Easyhan and Dia will finally clean up the fight and hope to get some progress on the board for themselves.
I think it's so funny here, Trid. Every time you talk about Smurf and how he's been able to make these adjustments, he gets taken down almost immediately afterwards, as if Sashin is hearing you a little bit here. He's about to get his own grab, but the Dynasty meet up immediately to contest the bot, immediately swapping it over to try to get to that neutral position, wondering, where am I going? Make a decision already. And now Fitz has the visor here too, so he's trying to take a bit of that off angle, trying to look for a flanking opportunity, but instead just gets right back onto the high ground after Lijiang actually called him out.
The Soldier 76 Marathon is in effect once more.
Oh.
Separated from the team. This is going back and forth. No one really wants to get into that vulnerable position around the robot. There's the attack visor from Fitz in the middle of the overpass. In behind the corners, TP for safety. Prophet gets the headshot onto Coldest. Not that impressive when you're firing a million bullets with one shot. But hey ho, Lijiang moves into position. Death Blossom online, taken out by Vindame. LA Valiant unable to set up in any real capacity, and Seoul Dynasty stopping them from getting any progress on the robot.
What's crazy there too is that when Lijiang tried to contest Fitz on the high ground right there, you saw Sushin had the bubble ready for some of that insurance. Now he's got the Death Blossom, so does Prophet. They're trying to sneak their way over into a better position. You see the speed boost coming in as well from Vindame. You see the Nana boost now online to Prophet. He's gonna try to find the opportunity. They knew, look how quick they were scurrying away.
They were like giving away. No, don't want to be anywhere near that.
They didn't want to take their
Lijiang
chances right there too.
Yeah, no chance for the LA Valiant to answer back with Death Blossom of their own, and look how close this objective is to complete, Vicky. They're right outside the base, and they've got basically 4 minutes left to do this, and there's no signs of LA Valiant digging their heels in. They finally get the easy harm Death Blossom to go and take out Smurf, but it's just one kill that comes from it. The momentum's still in push. We might actually see Seoul Dynasty complete this, Vicky.
From 0 to 100 here too. I mean, look at the way that they're playing. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of swap-ups from the Valiant side of things, but at the very end, map number 5 Fitz now finding Lengsa too. Yeah, you have Vindame with the sound barrier, but he's had the sound barrier for so long at this point, because they haven't really been able to even need to use it.
I feel like they're going to have an excuse in a second. Dia, separate from the team, trying to find the angles away. There's that Graviton Surge, pops the tack visor. Don't know how many people got caught up. Oh, amazing sleep from the side. Creative shuts down, well, a scenario that could have put the Seoul Dynasty in a right pickle. But Smurf follows it up once more. This objective is getting nowhere near pushing LA Valiant above the 0.63 meters they have. But Seoul Dynasty still need to pressure against the spawn doors. They have to deal with those reinforcements right by the fight.
Oh no.
Do they know? Oh no, okay, they do know. They do know. They fired a Helix rocket. That's enough for them to know.
Oh, the immediate turnaround too, the moment that Fitz was able to back away in time. Can't believe that sleep though onto Dia. He's trying to continuously contest Dia because he knows what Dia wants. He knows that Dia has come to the same spot over and over again to try to find a flanking opportunity because this is their best bet. But with Fitz having the visor, it'd be huge here if the Valiant managed to get this pick.
But they can't this time.
You have nowhere to run, and now you have the high ground for free here if you're Fitzrid.
It's a target-rich environment, but it's not enough. LA Valiant threw everything at the Seoul Dynasty there. They got a couple of kills, but Fitz problem has not been resolved. Saving that fight for the Seoul Dynasty. They took the high ground away from Dia. As you said, Vicky, they abused the fact they knew that that was going to be contested territory. They had Vindame for the reinforcements to come in. They clear out the opposing threat, pop the tack visor, and win the fight for the Seoul Dynasty.
You know what I loved especially in that moment, in that interaction, was that you had Vindame use the wall cling just to get up to the high ground to find Dia on the other side while Fitz was chasing after him. He was not expecting to meet him over by the other side, but now here comes the Nano boost here. Prophet putting in all of his damage in the back lines, trying to put a dent to the Valiant is desperately trying to clean up, but with Dia finding Prophet and Fitz, it's very doable here, just leaving Smurf Creative and Vindame, and now Vindame won't even be around for that sustainability. Dia's going absolutely off, finding 4 in that entire team fight.
Okay, a definitive fight win from the LA Valiant. They have 50 seconds remaining. They're probably going to be able to get some progress on the objective. But look at the winding road they need to take to even contest for victory here. They're going to be doing it in overtime, Vicky, and not many teams are able to pull that feat off. Okay, I mean, you frag Prophet like that, you're in a good spot to do it in the middle. There's the Death Blossom bubble, stops all forms of crowd control, and Dia is there to pick up all of those final blows. Can you do it again, though? Can you do it 2 or 3 more times, LA Valiant? You have 20 seconds left, and so far to push this objective.
It's going to be so difficult because then once that time runs out there, Trid, overtime kicks in, and look at the progress that Dynasty have. They basically hugged that finishing that finish line. And now with Smurf having the grab, it's going to be even more difficult to really stay on that bot. You see Dia now trying to take an angle. He needs to get a lot out of this visor.
And testing Fitz once more. Like, Fitz knew where they were coming from. Tactical visor popped. He's right behind him. Where are they playing around? What's the cover position for them? I don't think they've got it. Smurf takes out Sarshin. They're dabbling around, trying to toggle the aggro from the raid boss that is Dia. Able to do it beautifully. Overtime ticks down. Just one final contest coming out here. Coldest, you're an Ana. You're not designed to hold objectives like that. The Seoul Dynasty. It was shaky there, but they deny LA Valiant their first win.
Man, I wasn't as confident as I was expecting from the Dynasty, but the Valiant, to the very end, they were putting in a good fight. Even at the very end, though, they did pull some strings. I loved what I saw, but I even love better from what the Dynasty really provided here. Having Smurf be so flexible, showing that it isn't just the Winston, showing that it could be the Sigma, it could be the Zarya, and I like how the Dynasty is really playing to those strengths.
Okay, so Dynasty came alive right at the end there. I think that's the only time I felt that they were dominant in this series. It very much felt quite back and forth, some interesting picks, especially around King's Row when it came around to the Smurf Doomfist. I think there's a lot to learn here for the coaching staff of Dynasty, what is working, what is not, and I think there's a gentle optimism in what they can do for the rest of the season, but I think there's still a work in progress team.
I mean, I believe their next opponent is going to be the Chengdu Hunters tomorrow, so that's going to be some more information.
I think that's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to end up doing, especially with the way that they've been changing things up a lot. We saw much more of a drastic difference in the way that they were bringing out different compositions today versus day one of APAC yesterday.
100%. I think that matchup tomorrow, as you said, it will be quite telling. I think Chengdu Hunters should be feeling quite comfortable about going into that matchup. Obviously, they're not taking the gas off the pedal, or their way around. You call it gas, right, in America? I'm going to guess you do. But yeah, they're not going to let up is the point I'm going with, especially moving into tomorrow. But yeah, I think standouts in that series for me, Vicky, was probably going to be. That's a good point, actually. I'm being told the person I was about to mention is actually going to be player of the match. It's Profit, who's bagged that accolade for themselves. And when you looked at Circuit Royale, is it any surprise? And obviously, we're going to start with the Genji to kick things off in the highlight package.
Absolutely. It was beautiful there, too. I love how we had mentioned the quick swap of between the Ashe into that Genji, and then finding so much success, though, with the follow-up, including the fact that the Dynasty weren't just on the Ana and Lucio the whole time, too. They were able to get creative. They did have that Zen out, and that really did enable Profit, as well as Fitz, who was on the Widowmaker on Circuit.
Creative the act of creation, or creative the player?
Creative the player.
Okay. we need to be clearer about
it's like
that
someone creative. Profit too with that Death Blossom though, as well, cutting off that entry point, the follow-ups from the sleep. It's beautiful here. The damage done coming in from Profit, over 14k. The final blows though, specifically looking at that, 15 final blows, and the fact that you saw the Dynasty bring in Stalker, have them also enable Fitz. It's great look overall, looking at the DPS lineup that the Dynasty have to rotate through.
That is going to give them a lot of flexibility moving forward if they can find a good position for Stalker to occupy. I think they had a great performance actually on the Echo in King's Row. It was definitely one of the better moments for Seoul Dynasty on that map, seeing what Stalker was able to achieve despite the conditions of that particular round. But yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done for Dynasty to hit the highs that I think the expectations have kind of been set for them. This has got a lot of good individual parts to it. I just want to see more from them personally, Vicky, and I know I'm riding high on them. It's because I care. That's why I'm riding on them.
I want to see more of this. I want to see what they do against the Hunters. I think that's going to be difficult, but I also feel like this is going to say a lot about these different compositions coming out from Dynasty and how it's really working out for them. They have a lot of information, like you said, after today to really bounce off of what they feel like works more than others. But that's going to be it. What a great way to end the day here in APAC. I know North America is right around the corner. Usually when we conclude APAC, we know that there's a few hours here to spare. There are still a few hours, but maybe not as more hours as we usually have when it comes comes to time here. Thanks everyone for tuning in to day 2 here in the East region. It's been a really fun time casting alongside Trid. Shout out to Avril and Achilleos as well, covering those first 2 series. That last series, that second series actually, also another banger. If you guys miss it and you guys are just waking up, definitely recommend you look back on those matches because APAC season is heating up and it's only day number 2. Tune in for some more APAC action tomorrow, guys. Have a wonderful day.